Come to the fun home.
And your keys, oh, your ring of keys. I know you.
Fun Home is quite possibly my favorite musical in the last 10 years. It's the most emotionally satisfying to say the least, which has gone under the radar for the last few months. This is the type of musical I wanted when I heard that If Then was coming out. This is more reminiscent of the genius of Next to Normal than that garbage was. You're overcomplicated and boring. You wasted your Idina Menzel. Fun Home is a musical based on the tragicomic memoir written by Alison Bechdel, who created the Bechdel test. I bet you didn't know who made that before you started using it to seem cool. The musical hit Broadway April 19, 2015 at the Circle in the Square Theater. It's like Theater in the Round, but in a square. As created by Max Bialystock. Fun Home stars Michael Cerveris, Cindy Lucas, Beth Malone, and Judy Kuhn. The story of Fun Home surrounds the life of one woman, Alison Bechdel, in 3 sections of her life: her childhood, her early college years, and her middle-aged life, looking back on it all. Alison is reminiscing on her homosexuality and coming out, and how it coincided with her father's closeted homosexuality and subsequent suicide.
My dad and I both grew up in the same small Pennsylvania town, and he was gay, and I was gay, and he killed himself, and I became a lesbian cartoonist.
Each one of the 3 Alisons have their own story that ties together to the theme of sexuality and finding out who one really is in relation to themselves and their father. Young Alison's story involves her rejecting female clothing and physical stereotypes.
Where is your barrette? Put it back in. Keeps the hair out of your eyes.
So would her crew cut.
So this all culminates to a head when she finally finds a kinship to what she describes as an old-school butch. Throughout this entire time period, unbeknownst to her at the time, her parents were constantly fighting, and her father was having sexual relations with other men, some underage. Middle Alison is in her first year of college and discovers her sprouting lesbianism, falling in love with a woman named Joan, and later having sex with her and bringing her home to the family. When she writes her parents about her sexual discovery, she is finally told the truth about her father's true sexuality. Alison tries in vain to use this to relate to her father in some way, but she chickens out during her one chance. 4 months after Alison came out of the closet, her father killed himself. Adult Alison narrates over these 3 events, commenting and criticizing her choices from the past, cringing at her younger selves, wanting to change the past that she cannot change.
There's you, and there's me, but now I'm the one who's 43, stuck. I can't find my way through, just like you.
The story, though lacking a great amount of linearity, is structured perfectly, allowing every single moment to thematically bring the audience to a new place. It is very interesting. However, the story is not what is front and center in this musical. Much like Next to Normal, Fun Home is more focused on its characters. This show is nothing if it's not a character study, diving into the inner thoughts of Alison Bechdel, whom is the first lesbian protagonist in a Broadway musical. Now before you go to that comment box and correct me in some way, let's take a look at that word protagonist. The definition is the main or most prominent figure in a drama, movie, novel, or other fictional text. There have been other lesbian characters on Broadway, such as Maureen from Rent or Celie from The Color Purple, but they are not the most important character in that piece. Never mind, Alison is the central character, played by 3 different actresses. If I can critique this show in any way, it would be that I personally feel like the 3 Alisons are very different from one another. So much, in fact, that I find it hard to believe that they are all 3 the same person. In the original book, no matter what time period we were in, her proxy was always relatively consistent to who she always was. However, in the musical, when we jump around between the 3 Alisons, we have the 3 extremes of age: the youthful and loud optimist, the scatterbrained teenager, and the aged cynic. The 3 actresses, very talented in their own scenes, seem to forget to act as one uniformed human and share quirks of the others to help cement that. This is a very, very, very small complaint among a mountain of praise that I have for this musical.
I guess I'm older, and it's harder when you're older to begin.
Bruce Bechdel is the crux of the entire show. This is Alison looking back at her life in relation to her father. Bruce is immensely interesting, and he should be altogether unlikable. He's cheating on his wife with other men, yelling at his children constantly, and using his family as laborers to keep up the quality of his home. However, all these traits lead to a very compelling character. A man dealing with his sexuality, keeping it a secret from his children and friends, and constantly in stress and denial about who he is, what he should do, and how his children should act. Bruce tries to constantly shape Allison into a feminine being that she clearly isn't, in a way quite similar to how he shapes himself into a sexuality he simply isn't.
I despise this dress. What's the matter with boy shirts and pants?
You're a girl.
This dress makes me feel like a clown. I won't wear it.
Alice said we're gonna be late.
You're wearing a girl color?
Kudos to Michael Service, who played this role with bone-chilling anger, yet also with such vulnerability. Helen is Allison's mother and Bruce's wife. She is probably the most passive character in the entire show. She has one song where she talks about how her entire life has been destroyed, being dedicated to a man who sleeps with other men, who gives her little attention other than screaming at her. She gets one big scene where she laments the life she could have had, and it truly adds depth to her, but that's the only scene that we have. Now let's talk about what these characters feel so enthralled to sing about. The music was composed by Janine Tesori of such shows as Caroline or Change and Shrek the Musical. The lyrics along with the show's book is written by Lisa Crone of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Michigan represent! This is one of the most emotionally gratifying pieces, with story and characters so large that they are compelled to sing. So let us see what they sing, and forgive me if I don't talk about all the songs, for I'm trying to keep this short.
He wants the real feather duster used on the bookcase. Find all the books we read and carefully restore.
This song is more or less the first blatant song in the show. It takes a step away from the traditional I want songs seen in almost every musical in existence and gives a slight change to it. This is one of very few he wants songs. It's simply a song to set up a payoff much later in the show during Helen's song, Days and Days, where she reveals all the hell going through her life during this time period.
The Bechdel Fun Home. We take dead bodies every day of the week, so you've got no reason to roam. Use a Bechdel funeral home. What it is, poop, poop, poop.
This is one of those rare songs in the show that I do not believe serves much of a purpose, aside from showing how kids are able to cope with living in a house that also doubles as a funeral home. It's obviously a parody of songs popular in the early 70s time period that this scene is based in. The song is super jovial and seems to be the odd one out among the other songs in the musical. This song's tonal faults are forgiven as it is juxtaposed in the scene that follows, when the childlike wonder of living in a funeral home is shattered by the realism of her father working on a cadaver.
Your swagger and your bearing and the just right clothes you're wearing, your short hair and your dungarees and your lace-up boots and your keys, oh, your ring of keys.
A lesbian anthem from a 9-year-old. If any song summed up the show, it would be A Ring of Keys. A song in which the youngest Allison feels stirrings in her when she sees a butchy delivery woman and feels a kinship to her. This is the first cue in Allison's life that maybe she's not exactly into the things that the average 9-year-old girl would be. I love this song, and it's exactly what this entire musical is about.
Am I falling into nothingness or flying into something so sublime? I don't know, but I'm changing my major to Joan.
This is the next step into Allison's lesbianism, her first sexual encounter with anyone, and she's invigorated into a new world among her. She's so transfixed with this woman that she wants nothing more than to have sex with her until her lips fall off. Double entendres are the best.
But on my own, oh, so much damage, broken windows, pipes are shit, crap veneer. It's hours later, Jesus, I'm still standing here.
This is by far the most tear-jerking moment in the show, Bruce Bechdel's final monologue before his suicide. I don't want to say any more than that, but this song is simply one of the biggest payoffs to something that had been set up so perfectly throughout the entire show.
I wanna play airplane. I wanna play airplane. I wanna play airplane.
Allison, after running out of memories and stories of her father, is left alone with her drawings and starts to call out for her dad once again, as does her younger selves, asking for one final game of airplane so she can soar above her father once again. This is one of the most solid endings to a musical I've seen in a long time, bringing everything together into one perfect bow. Fun Home is probably my favorite musical currently running on Broadway, and I sincerely recommend you buy the soundtrack on iTunes. It is well worth the price. And also, if you're really cool, you should buy Alison Bechdel's original graphic novel. It's pretty genius. The woman didn't get a musical made about her story just because it's really bad. Overall, Fun Home gets a 4 out of 5. Also, it's worth mentioning, Stage to Screen votes, I counted them out. The winner is Avuda. Yeah, that's going to be reviewed next on Stage to Screen, the show that isn't this one. And what will my big review be after that? Well, that little guy. Probably that. It has something to do with that. Alright. Peace out and sauerkraut, bitches.